talk about a very mysterious and unusual case of the artificial object known as 2010 KQ that is currently moving through space and heading toward Earth as we speak. So, NASA has reported that an unknown object that is approaching our planet from space is not an asteroid as they originally thought, but is certainly of an artificial origin. And the orbit of the near-Earth asteroid, as they called it, was soon recognized as being unusual, given that it has a period of 1.04 years, a very strange axis and eccentricity of 0.008. Moreover, its motion relative to that of Earth was very comparable, and it remained in close proximity to us for many months before beginning to head back out into space. So this thing made a very close pass to Earth a couple of years ago, and suddenly began heading back into space. Now, NASA, who has been tracking this thing using their asteroid watching service, the Near Earth Object Program, discovered that the object has used no propulsion while it was under observation. However, other space watchers do think that the object did move using some sort of power source at some point due to its change in position and velocity. Here you're seeing a NASA graphic showing the trajectory of the object, and it's all very strange. It kind of reminds you of the Black Knight satellite that we've talked about in past videos, and if you don't know by now, the Black Knight is said to be an artificial alien satellite that is currently orbiting Earth. It possibly may have left Earth's orbit, but what we do know is that it was indeed in Earth's orbit and has been tracked for over 50 years. It has been seen changing position, changing speed, and it was unable to be tracked by ground-based instruments due to the fact that it would constantly be changing its location and speed to the point where they finally lost it. And now we have this object that NASA has no clue what it is, but of course their theory, in which they've told the public, is that it is likely a spent rocket stage that escaped the Earth and Moon system years ago. However, the way this object is moving, and the fact that it came from deep space, orbited Earth, and then suddenly headed back out into space, once again changing its speed and trajectory, makes me think that there could very well be a link with this object to the Black Knight, or for that matter, it's just an artificial object that is changing trajectory and speed by itself. I mean, that in and of itself is mind-blowing. And recent reports have come out that the object was seen heading back toward Earth. And we are still gathering information on that, which will actually come in a part 2 to this video, so stay tuned for that. But again, this gives us just a little bit more proof that these artificial objects are out there. We know that they are out there. It's mathematically impossible that they are not out there. And it's already been said by some pretty mainstream scientists that it's likely at one point or another, or presently, that another alien race has sent probes to other planets, including ours, and could likely be monitoring us as we sit here, gathering information about our planet. In fact, mathematicians in Scotland calculated that, quote, self-replicating alien probes could already have explored our entire solar system and may still be here, albeit undetectable, and are watching us as we speak. Some scientists from the University of Edinburgh, according to a phys.org article, had previously calculated that if a Voyager-sized probe passing through the galaxy picked up speed using slingshots around stars, that it could travel 100 times faster. And these new calculations that were reported in the International Journal of Astrobiology expanded this idea of using self-replicating probes in computer models to see how this self-replication would work. So basically, what an advanced alien race likely has done is create these robotic space probes that explore solar systems, explore galaxies in a very short period of time by creating and self-replicating themselves using interstellar dust and gas, after which the parent and child probes would each set off for a different star, where they would look for signs of life and then self-replicate themselves again, dispersing themselves radially across space. And these scientists found that if there was a fleet of these self-replicating probes in space that could travel just 10% of the speed of light, then they could still explore the entire galaxy in a relatively short time span of maybe 10 million years. And that's only at 10% the speed of light. And 10 million years, as you know, is only a small fraction of the age of the Earth, let alone the solar system, and especially the galaxy. So imagine if these probes were traveling at 99% the speed of light, and how it would only take possibly tens of thousands of years, if that, to map and probe every star in the galaxy, every planet, every solar system in the galaxy. Now, some scientists have said, and I do not agree with this, that the fact that we have not detected or seen any evidence of alien probes in the solar system, which, by the way, again, is false. We do have evidence, and we have detected artificial objects that do change speed and velocity. But that because we have not detected them, that this suggests that there have been no probe-building civilizations in our entire Milky Way galaxy in the last few million years. Well, first of all, if we have detected them, and we surely have, do you honestly think the government is going to tell anybody? And secondly, it's likely that these probes are so high-tech that we are simply unable to detect them. And it's also another possibility that the probes could be programmed to only contact civilizations with a certain level of intelligence that would in turn be able to detect such probes. But again, it all draws back to this artificial object, and it gives you kind of an idea how these things would work. So it's a very interesting story. Let me know what you guys think. Another strange thing that we want to talk about before we end this video is this piece of footage that you're seeing here, which was recorded over Colombia this past week. And I'll go ahead and let you watch this video real quick.
Eso es lo que estoy viendo.
Alright, so as you just saw, a pretty big group of stunned individuals and residents in Cartagena, Colombia on June 30th recorded this, what is being called an Independence Day style mothership cloud. Basically, if you've seen the 1996 alien invasion movie Independence Day, this cloud looks scary similar to the scene in the movie where this massive mothership is coming through the clouds, this huge disk, and we see this large circle of clouds just like we're seeing here. And it almost looks like there's, and you can see like the fiery yellow and orange clouds in the center of this thing, and the residents who were recording this and taking pictures, here are some pictures here, were completely shocked. And a lot of the people there said that they saw UFOs flying around it. Some have said that this was a large cloaked disk surrounded by clouds. Others have said that this was some sort of secret HARP weather manipulation experiment causing these very strange clouds to appear. And so conspiracy theories are running wild, and it's just a really bizarre cloud. So just for that fact, I definitely thought it was worth showing you guys. It's just a beautiful sight, and it's really awesome, really unusual and bizarre. So if any of you were in Colombia and saw this thing, email me. I'd like to get some more info about it, but again, thought it was pretty cool, wanted to show you guys. So again, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you have your own footage email it to me. My contact info is down in the video description below. Alright, so thanks for stopping by. We'll see you back soon with much, much more, and stay safe.
Now, what I'm going to show you here is the approximate position of the Nibiru and its 7 planets coming in. Because this is apparently a genuine photograph, in the center there with this red with the black dot and the what appears to be a planet up to the left. It's coming in, this photograph, what I'm going to show you on Stellarium, is set up for Hobart, Tasmania, south of Australia, and you'll see Jupiter. Now if you just notice around here, the stars aren't that numerous, and I think what's happening is that the light coming from the distant stars are being absorbed into the rear of the magnetic field because the light is being bent. I mean, light is bending in space all the time. In the old Cathay ray tubes, which is the old television sets, that's how a television set works. You bend the light electrons coming at the screen. So I'll now go over to Stellarium and show you the same scene basically. So there's Jupiter there, we'll pull that over. So in this area here is where I was showing you. Now I'm going to show you what happens when we get out and away from that spot that I've determined where this is going to be, and you'll see how the light comes on. And then as we go back towards where I think that the Nibiru object is the lights go out, so I go back again, the lights go on, so the light is being bent and absorbed by the Nibiru object. So we'll go up now towards Taurus, which is up here, and you'll see the light comes on again. There's Taurus there. The light's going off again. So possibly this hasn't been noticed by the authorities. I'll just go up again. Now she comes on again. Come back down. Jupiter just goes off screen. Now we'll go left and right. Give it some perspective. The light comes on, off. The light comes on again. So it would appear to be around this area here. Not to say that it is, but it appears to be that's where the effect is occurring. Now, it could be behind Jupiter itself. It could be over this area here, but somewhere in this general vicinity. So that's just a little update on what I've been able to determine could be a possible indication where it is coming in from. And of course, Castor and Pollux down here is the twins, first and second coming. So I'll talk to you later.
Planet X special bulletin: a dwarf star and 7 planets are coming in. For the past few hours I've been listening to Patty Brassard, spelled Brass, B-R-A-S-S-A-R-D, a former NASA employee who built the robots which are being used on Fukushima at this moment. She tells of an incoming solar system with 7 planets and says that by August 11th, 2013, the existence of Planet X will be undeniable. She says when this object lines up with our Sun on August 17th, 2013, another major earthquake will occur. This time, though, the object will be only 0.32 AU away from the Earth. The unit AU stands for astronomical unit. That's the distance from the Earth to the Sun previously measured at 93 million miles. But Patty says that the Earth is being pulled in toward the sun, and this elongates the orbit and will make summers very, very hot and winters the coldest you've ever experienced. More frighteningly, she said that our electric grid will go down, and when it does, all nuclear power plants will go down too. It is electricity which keeps the reactors cool, and when the electric grid goes, the power plant has only hours on auxiliary power before that too fails, and from what I understand, that means total meltdown. And she says you should locate these nuclear power plants. She said there are over 100 in the United States alone, and make sure that you're not near one. I saw a map. They're all over the East Coast. In fact, I look out the window and I can see one. She said the kill zone in Fukushima was 150 miles. Everybody within 150 miles dies when the nuclear power plants melt down. When I looked out the window and saw one at Palo Verde, I put my head between my legs and kissed my ass goodbye. Patty's in Massachusetts, and her basement is at sea level, so she does not intend to survive the passing of Planet X. She said Russian and Israeli troops are here to round up the people who protest and put them into the FEMA camps, that's what they were built for. She also said that those buildings have gas pipes 2 feet thick in diameter and that they don't want the people on the surface to survive. She talks about Auschwitz, and I gather that they're going to gas the people in there. Don't go to a FEMA camp under any circumstances. You will never come out alive, according to Patty. She said that the coffins can accommodate 3 bodies, and if you wind up in a FEMA camp, you might as well be in Auschwitz under Hitler, because they didn't rig gas to these quarters to make sure that you're nice and comfortable. The government never gave a rat's ass about you or your comfort. It's always been about them. They want you dead, and now the truth is coming out from yet another whistleblower. She said all those near the coast are finished. She said we will see the seas rise 200 feet just from the melting of the South Pole, and that the melting is occurring not from the top down, as you might expect from global warming, but from the bottom up. In addition to 200 feet rise in sea levels from the melting of the South Pole, she said that as this object gets closer, it will stop the rotation of the Earth. And as it slows down and the seas keep moving, she says because of the moon, that the moon controls the waters, and that water will continue to move at 1,000 miles per hour, and that anyone living near the coast is finished. Now this follows 3 days of darkness, which she says is caused by an eclipse. This object is between the sun and us. She says that Mars is getting hammered right now with all the debris from the tail, and she recommends that if you want to survive, that you find the highest place on Earth and get underground. Dig a hole. She says bring a camper and bury it under 3 feet of earth. She says rent a backhoe or something to cover it up. I think this is all insanity. What are you going to do? Breathe radioactive air and survive? You're going to go fishing? Catch fish in order to eat? She says the worst of this will be from the end of August until November. That's 4 months. How are you going to survive? September, October, November. 3 months. Each person needs half a gallon of water every day. Fresh water, not radioactive water. I think most of us had better put our heads between our legs and kiss our ass goodbye. All those things I spoke about in my Planet X videos, I have about 40 of them. One of them has over 1 million views. And all those things I talked about turn out to be true. And nobody is sadder than me about that. I wanted it to be wrong. I wanted the earthquakes and volcanoes and sinkholes to be some kind of hoax. But who has the ability to cause earthquakes and volcanoes and sinkholes just to have fun? It's not easy to fake a quake, Jake. This is not a mistake. California, Patty says, will drop into the ocean. that somewhere between the 17th of August 2013 and the 26th of August, she says there will be a magnitude 15 quake centered in Seattle, Washington. So I picked up the phone and called all my friends and told them, and they laughed at me. Oh, that's crazy. Go back to sleep. Patty says her own family has scheduled a family reunion from the 10th of August to the 17th. So that tells you how serious her own family is about her words. I think it's very serious. You don't call in all the ambassadors from all the embassies and close the embassies on a whim. These people have tickets to the underground facilities, and you don't, because you are a dirtbag. That's what I've been saying all along. They treat you, the host of the parasites, like a dirtbag. You paid for all of those underground facilities over the past 50 years, and now you're not invited. And so they expect when the people learn the truth, they're going to be angry. They're going to get their guns, and they're going to try to kill somebody. And you're going to end up killing one of our own who's just uninformed. He thinks he's serving his country. He thinks he's a hero, and you're going to kill him? It'd be better if you talk to him. Talk to all military. Talk to all cops and tell them what's going on, because in the next 10 to 20 days, there's going to be a great awakening by everyone who realizes we are finished. You can't jump in your car and run to get something at the grocery store if the UV A, B, and C are coming down on you. It's deadly. Microwaves will cook your car. She says that microwaves will heat up anything that's metal. It will be red hot from the sun. If California has a 15 magnitude earthquake, do you realize what that will do? And there is nobody to come in and rescue anybody. Remember when all those buildings and freeways fell on people in past earthquakes? Those were 6s and 7s. This is a 15. And every number you go up, it's 10 times more powerful. That means that a 15 is a billion times more powerful than a 6. A 6.0 compared to a 15 is 9 numbers up. That's 10 to the 9th power. That's a billion times more powerful. Nobody can survive a 15. Nobody. Not a billion times more powerful than the ones that brought down the Nimitz freeway and crushed cars as flat as a pancake. All that metal and steel crushed to a pancake with people inside them. I lived in California for about 30 years. I know the San Andreas Fault. I know where it goes in Los Angeles. I know where it goes in San Francisco. But once you get into Oregon and Washington, I don't know much about the San Andreas Fault. I understand that it goes all the way to Alaska. Now, if these plates fracture and California sinks because of lack of support, the pulling away from that plate, the Pacific plate, the tsunami that will come into Los Angeles could be very high. But Patty says we're going to lose much of California. And she says that Tagish Lake, Alaska, will be the new South Pole, that the pole shift has already begun. Tagish Lake, Alaska, I looked it up. There's a Canadian province. Most of Tagish Lake is in that province, BC, might be British Columbia. But as soon as you go over into the U.S. side, Alaska, there's still part of the lake there, a very small part. But she says just north of there will be the new South Pole. Now, that's not what Nancy Leader said. Nancy Leader had the North Pole off the coast of Brazil and the South Pole dead center in Saudi Arabia, I believe. Maybe it was reversed. Maybe the North Pole was Saudi Arabia and the South Pole was off the coast of Brazil. That's east of Brazil. Now Patty's telling us, with inside information, that Tagish Lake, Alaska, will be the new South Pole. I believe that the pole shift is already underway because I've seen the map where the North Pole is moving. It's moving very quickly and it's accelerating. As I recall, the North Pole was headed toward Siberia, and that it would arrive in Siberia in January of 2014. But I'm recalling this from memory. I can't be sure. I didn't look it up. But I looked up Tagish Lake, Alaska. I spun the globe. I turned it upside down so that that was the South Pole, and I spun the globe. And I found that Arizona will be in the southern hemisphere, and Australia will be in the northern hemisphere. Imagine that. Arizona will be the land down under. And it's too bad that I'll be dead in just 10 days or so, because I was looking forward to looking up into those southern skies at night and having the experience of seeing things completely different. Now, you may recall on my previous Planet X videos, I spoke about microwaves cooking everything when the Van Allen belt collapses, and very, very few people understood that. They tell me they've got a garden, they're going to go camping, they'll be all right. And I knew that they had no idea what a microwave was, or how it cooks you, or how the Van Allen belt protects us, and that's going to collapse because this star is enormous. I always ridiculed those who said that this star was 4 times the size of Jupiter. Patty says that just one of the 7 planets is 4 times the size of Jupiter. She said that the asteroid belt was a planet, and it got hit head-on by one of these things in the tail of Planet X, and it got smashed to pieces, and that Jupiter absorbed most of it, and the asteroid belt is just what's left over. Now imagine that you cannot go outside even to pee for 6 weeks because there will be deadly, she calls them UVA, UVB, and UVC, ultraviolet A, B, and C rays, which kill everything. I never heard of ultraviolet A, B, and C. I knew that ultraviolet rays kill everything, especially the things we depend on. That's why I say, if it kills the things we depend on for survival, how are you going to survive? She says that some people will survive. Maybe those microorganisms will be inside the caves. I don't know. I think life is going to be extremely difficult. I hope that the first to die are those in the underground facilities, the so-called elite and government, because they are the most evil. And all you religious people who think that Jesus is going to save you, well, you're going to find out. Now, this announcement that I'm making to you is the most grave announcement I have ever made about anything. And while Patty gives advice about how to survive, she says, dig a hole, cover it with at least 3 feet of dirt, put some sort of camper or something in there, rent a Caterpillar or something, it costs $200 a day, and dig a big hole in your backyard, put your camper in there, and then cover it up with 3 feet of dirt. That's crazy. You won't have food. You won't have water. You won't be able to go outside. How are you going to flush the toilet? If you do survive, you're going to be a totally mind-controlled, chipped slave for the elite if they survive. But she says that these underground facilities, which are now stocked with food that is uncontaminated by Fukushima radiation, because they've been stocking those underground facilities for decades. A truck driver called in, a woman, and said she delivered things to Denver Airport, the underground facility there, and they were labeled just general merchandise. So there's first-hand testimony that these underground facilities were stocked. But Patty says that these underground facilities are going to rupture and water is going to flood in and drown most of the people that are the so-called elite. Now, they left us up here to die like a bunch of dirt bags. I imagine that they have cameras everywhere to watch what's going on, and they're going to be down there in their cushy bunkers watching us die and suffer and squirm. And if a fracture occurs and water floods in, I would like to have a camera to watch them drown like rats. If that water is from the Pacific Ocean, maybe it will be full of radiation, and maybe it will contaminate all of their fresh food down there. Maybe the air that comes in will be full of radiation, because all over America, tests are showing that our air is just full of radiation. And maybe this is why the psychic, the French psychic, could not see past 2012. Maybe that's why all those who did time travel said that there was a barrier after 2012. When pressed, the French psychic said, 2 possible reasons: we have a war with aliens, or I'm dead, and that's why I can't see beyond 2012. Well, you've got strontium in the air, which causes bone cancer, and plutonium, which affects all the organs and tissues. And thousands are already dying from the radiation from Fukushima. Remember that Fukushima is about 10 times worse than Chernobyl. Chernobyl was 180 tons of radioactive material, and Fukushima was 1,760 tons. So that's almost 10 times as much. Fukushima is 9 or 10 times as bad as Chernobyl. I've got some shrimp and salmon in the freezer, and I think I'm going to go cook it while the electricity is still on. I already ate all the butter pecan ice cream, and if you have any ice cream that you can't eat, call me. I'll be over there faster than you can say, those dirty bastards in government saved themselves and left us out here to die. How long does it take to say that? How do you like this? The U.S. military is guarding the DUMBs so that you can't get in. They will shoot to kill. They will kill Americans to prevent them from getting into the underground facilities. Well, I don't want to breathe the same air those people breathe. I might wind up like them. So no thanks. I'm not interested in going into a DUMB. These military have already been tested to see if they are loyal to the head Nazi, and they proved that they will follow orders. They will kill anyone they are told to kill. And they think they're heroes. Their reality is not the same as your reality. They live in an illusionary world. I would consider it mental illness, because they don't know reality. Soon all the banks will be closed, and you won't be able to get any money out. And I have been advocating that you get your money out of the bank anyway, and what I have seen on this video with Patty is that the money you hold will only be worth something for a little while longer. And soon, nobody will be interested in your money. They're not going to trade real food for fake money. We have been expecting a currency collapse anyway. I just had no idea that it would turn out like this. If you have a house that's made of cement block and a roof that's not made of wood, that's valuable. And there isn't any amount of money that I would trade for such a house. Now the value system changes. If you've got a caterpillar, a bulldozer, a backhoe, this is extremely valuable. This is worth millions of dollars, even if you paid $6,000 for it, because this is the difference between life and death. Perhaps. I don't know what you call life after something like this. You come out of your nest and breathe radioactive material that will be in the air for thousands of years. You call that life? Look up Patty Brassard, B-R-A-S-S-A-R-D, on YouTube. Watch the videos, the interviews. There's one with Veritas Radio out of Tucson, and that interviewer is very smart. The sound quality is pretty good. There's another one where they talk about the kill shot, and they put the date August 5th, 2013. The sound quality is very poor. Very, very poor. It's difficult to hear the announcer. It's difficult to hear his guest. There was no attention whatsoever given to this video on quality, and if you're able to get anything out of it, that's great. There's a lot of blank space, so it means the audio was not edited, and because of these reasons, it's not a very good quality video. But it's the best you have at this time. You might wonder what is going to happen to Patty. Well, she said she's old, and she's already lived far longer than she expected to. She's falling apart because she carried an M16 across her chest, and the bullets were either depleted uranium or enriched uranium. Can you imagine the U.S. government having soldiers carry radioactive material so close to the chest? This is disgusting, disgusting. And this story should spread to all military so they know how the government really thinks of them. Listen to Patty's testimony. She was in Iraq. She was in communications. These lives meant nothing to the Nazis. Nothing. They were pawns, and the military should understand that. I didn't know that they were using enriched uranium. I knew they were using depleted uranium, but I thought it was only for shells. She said when they are trying to penetrate the ground, they use enriched uranium. These are war crimes. That's who your government is. They're war criminals. They're false flag inside job terrorists. And Patty says the last 4 major terrorist attacks were all inside jobs. And it was done in order to take the guns because they can't pay the Chinese in gold, and so they offered them coastal properties. The Chinese wanted coastal properties, but they said, you disarm the people first. That's what Patty said. That shows you she has a lot of inside information. Now remember, August to November, about 4 months, will be the roughest part of the passing of Planet X. She said if you want to save yourself, it's already too late. She produced some very believable images to support her claims, and she claims to be able to access computers at NASA and EPA and other government agencies, and she revealed that NASA is not a government agency, it's a private corporation. She said it's no more government than the Federal Reserve is. There's one more thing I would like to tell you. She said that 6 astronomers or scientists, these are top astronomers and scientists, had decided that they were going to talk and tell the people, and all 6 of them were killed recently. I haven't heard of it. I don't know who the scientists are, but I think that Patty might be murdered soon also. I would not be surprised. In fact, I am also looking for a bullet, but I'm old and it doesn't matter if they kill me. I don't want to die of thirst. I don't want to die frying under a microwave sky or dying under UV light, ultraviolet light. This is not for me. I'm going to continue my effort to inform and let the chips fall where they may. You all have a right to know what's coming, and your Nazi government will not tell you anything because they want you dead. That's the way it's been for a long time now, and I've been saying it from my first video because I've been reading and putting the pieces of the gigantic puzzle together, and I know what evil looks like. Government is pure evil. And if you didn't know that before today, the next 10 days are going to be enlightening, trust me. And all that propaganda you've been sucking up on the TV will now be blown away when the electric grid goes off and you have no TV and no drinking water. You'll be defecating outside because the house stinks from a toilet that can't be flushed. There's no water. The government wants you dead, and you're better off dead. And all you religious people out there who hounded me relentlessly and dumped your scriptures on my channel, I hope Jesus saves you from the frying sun's rays. And I got some advice for you. Pray while you cook. That's as much as I can say at this time. Have a wonderful day, and thank.
In the distance I heard the words, "Shalom, Benjamin. Benjamin, wake up." My eyes opened the moment I was called. The angel of God spoke, "My name is Raphael, prophet of God. You know me. I am sent to you in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. Follow me now." I got up from my bed and followed the messenger angel of God down the stairs, through the door and into the street. We stood still in the middle of the intersection of the street, near our house. The angel of God spoke, "The God of Isaac, Jacob and Abraham allows you a glimpse into the future, at what will come to pass very soon." The messenger angel of God held in his right hand a sort of golden shepherd's crook, and stuck it upright in the ground, and spoke, "Thus there will be many earthquakes like this one." At the moment that the rod penetrated right through the asphalt, the road began to crack and to vibrate. The ground was moving violently. Simultaneously I heard a trumpet sound which persisted, an all-pervading sound that I could even feel vibrating through my mind, and it filled the airspace as meanwhile all kinds of things took place. I saw, as in slow motion, all kinds of people in the air, and even babies and people with disabilities. And also animals were going up in the air. I saw dogs and cats, and even marmots, large and small animals. All that I was seeing amazed me, and went far beyond my understanding. The messenger angel of God spoke further. "Benjamin, God is saying the same words as in the days of Noah." Genesis 9, verse 12. "And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature with you for all generations." I asked, "To whom is this further revealed?" The messenger angel of God said, "Only to Benjamin, from the tribe of Benjamin. You are truly the prophet of God of the last days." Immediately during the rapture, I saw a kind of lightning which filled the entire sky. I also heard wailing and crying everywhere. The messenger angel of God spoke, "Benjamin, it will be just like it is written in Exodus 12, verse 30. There it is written, And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. Then I said, This I understand, but that there will be a dead, a heart will have as much grief as with the loss of their loved one. I get it, I said. I saw all sorts of things falling from the sky, a helicopter that uncontrollably circled downwards. Also a plane fell from the sky. I saw fireballs coming down, which struck everywhere, in the roofs and streets. Fires arose everywhere. It looked like a war. Derailed trams and cars with people, but without drivers, crashed into each other. It was complete chaos. I saw several large and small UFOs in the air. They virtually stood still, and I said, Look, Raphael! These are the visitors from space. This is what the fallen angels call themselves. I was shocked by rocky stones that fell from the sky. Some were on fire and others were not. They were slightly larger than a football and struck everywhere and caused fire. I also saw all kinds of strange satellites falling from the sky. The messenger angel spoke further and said, Benjamin, fear not, this must yet come to pass. I also felt a kind of magnetic pressure, as if everything was magnetic, as if I was pushed to all sides by some sort of air pressure. Even cars were moved sideways by this pressure. I understood that all this will happen immediately just after the rapture, when Christians have been gathered by God, the God of Isaac, Jacob and Abraham. I saw a blood-red moon, which looked badly damaged with holes, where bright light came through it. The sun was shining very bright, and the heat was unbearable. Also I heard and saw someone who cursed, but I could not understand it. I think the angel of God had made what he said unintelligible. Then he shouted, irritated and loudly, Rosh Hashanah! The angel of God said, The people will really have hell on earth, for the worst is still to come to those left behind. Benjamin, you have spoken so much on behalf of God. But some people think that you give a study, and they don't even see that everything is prophetically foretold, and even in the scriptures. But God points out, everything is directly spoken to you, and everything shall come to pass. I am who I am, thus speaks the God of Israel. I'll bring you back now, Benjamin. And the messenger angel of God said, Repent, you who are listening to this message, and surrender yourself to Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, and you will be there where your heart, mind, soul, and body are full of. He who does not want to hear will perish. Ruacha Yeshu Shalom Emmanuel, spoke the messenger angel of God, and disappeared.
Lord, please protect us. This is currently what's happening right now. We are driving in Naisna, and I don't know, they want us to turn around. We can't go further because
At least 8 people are dead in Cape Town, South Africa, and what is being called, quote, the mother of all storms by South African local media. 4 of the victims died in a fire that was caused by lightning, and authorities reported thousands have been evacuated as winds fanned fires and flash flooding hit neighborhoods hard. The rain did bring some relief to the region where drought has been intense. And check this out. High waves churned up sea foam along Cape Town's waterfront.
Psalm 107, 33 and 34. He turns rivers into a wilderness, and the water springs into dry ground, a fruitful land into barrenness, for the wickedness of those who dwell in it.
rare tornado whipping through a Canadian town. Take a look at this time-lapse footage capturing the tornado north of Calgary. No one was injured and damage was contained to one rural property. Canada averages just 80 tornadoes per year, so this was pretty rare, while the U.S. reports some 1,300.
Miren el arcoíris. No, se fue para allá, mamá.
As the world continues to spin out of control, we can no longer afford to ignore the truth. Almighty God, the creator of heaven, earth, and all things, is trying to get our attention. He is letting us know, through powerful weather catastrophes and the events happening in the world around us, that He is in control. And He is preparing to intervene in world affairs, climaxing in the return of Jesus Christ.
Widespread disruption on the island, people trapped in mountainous areas. Heavy rain, which began on Friday, continues to inundate Taiwan, with precipitation in some areas reaching 600 millimeters. Thousands of people had to be relocated to temporary shelters. Countless homes have been left without power and water. Hundreds of flights were canceled or delayed, and schools were closed. The losses in the agriculture industry have already reached $660,000 US, leading the price of vegetables to rise 30%. It's predicted to rise even more. One woman and her grandchild were trapped in the heavy rain. In just a few minutes, the water level rose waist high. Despite holding her grandchild tightly, the two of them couldn't stand still and fell into the water stream. Luckily, a rescue team arrived in time. A torrential rain warning has been issued for Luckily, the southwestern airstream is likely to leave on Sunday.
But I do want to know what's coming. I used to search for new Nibiru videos every week till I gave up. It was always the same old videos, copied or renamed. Are videos with misleading titles and photos offering no proof. Since videos on Nibiru are so disappointing, I decided to make my first documentary video. All you need to know about Nibiru in 10 minutes, 18 months ago. Actually, that is what started the channel you're watching now. Since I am not a scientist nor an alien, there is nothing my video can offer that you cannot find with a thorough web search. However, before my research, if you would have asked me then if I think there is really a planet X, I would have said no. But if you ask me now, my answer will be yes. I believe there is a Nibiru in our solar system. Let me show you why. Originally, I didn't see how a huge planet, 4 times the size of Jupiter, can exist in our solar system without us knowing. But that is before I learned about TNO. Before I did extensive research on ancient prophecies, which, believe it or not, collaborated somehow. Let me put it this way. You may not recognize Nibiru when it comes, and the visit may be different from what you expected. But believe me, there is a Nibiru out there in our solar system. For people who are new to this Planet X Nibiru theory, big 3,600-year orbit, it is called the Destroyer Planet, as when it comes, it will bring destruction and possibly the Doomsday. Wait, if Doomsday comes every 3,600 years, how come we're still here? Think about it this way. Many comets pass by our sun regularly. How many of them hit planets? The last and only one I remember was the Shoemaker-Levy 9 hitting Jupiter in July 1994. So maybe Nibiru's last flyby was harmless last time. But we may not be likely so lucky next time. Before jumping to any conclusions we cannot sustain, let me bring you another popular Nibiru theory. The planet Nibiru of Nemesis. Nemesis is supposedly our sun's brown dwarf twin. The theory was first introduced in 1984, largely based on the Earth's mass extension 26 million years cycle. An evil twin 1.5 light-years away, hidden beyond the Oort cloud, would be a perfect suspect. If Nibiru is a planet of Nemesis, it could explain how its occupants survived 3,600 years without a sun. Nemesis is Nibiru's travel companion and its portable generator. When the theory was introduced in 1984, it made great sense, and at that time, scientists believed that most stars are binary. Obviously, our sun should not be an exception. However, scientists have determined that mass extinction happens more like every 50 million years. And two mass astronomical surveys, which ran from 1997 to 2001, failed to detect any brown dwarf in our solar system. While in 2011, NASA's David Morrison, who specializes in near-Earth objects, concluded that even with infrared exist. Of course, that is if you believe in what NASA tells you. However, not finding any proof of Nibiru nor Nemesis does not mean they do not exist. Plus, how do you know if you were told the truth? What do you think the government should do if they think the world will end tomorrow? Obviously, telling you will not be on the top of the list. They will build a bunker and plan shelters for people that may survive the doomsday Earth. And to avoid chaos, it is wise not to share the doomsday news with anyone. Plus, who can know for certain what will happen, right? If you think the government will always do the right thing, let me tell you what Nostradamus thought about that. In Quatrain 227, quote, "The divine word will be struck from the sky, one who cannot proceed any further. The secret closed up with the revelation, such that they will march over and ahead." If you have any doubts about Nostradamus' prophecies, check out some of my Nostradamus videos. When I compared his quatrains with historical events, I was shocked to find the unbelievable details revealed. Check out any of my videos and you will doomsday century. This quatrain seems to indicate that our government would get warnings from the sky, which can be divine, or from aliens. The message warns us, do not proceed. It is a secret that will be kept from most of us. But the warnings were probably ignored, as the last sentence stated, quote, "such that they will march over and ahead." Whatever the secret may be, it will be ignored, and we, mankind, will eventually face the consequences. So, if Nemesis does not exist and Nibiru is only a theory, why should we waste any more time talking about it? Actually, I think Nibiru does exist. It may be different from the mythical planet where Anunnaki reside, but it is there. Let me show you the proof about Nibiru's existence. Consider this. If you think the theory about Nibiru's 3,600-year orbit around the Sun is crazy, did you know Mars orbits the Sun every 687 days, but is already considered outside the Goldilocks zone that could harbor lives? What is the chance of life on Nibiru if Nibiru does exist? Plus, what is the chance of having a planet having a 3,600-year orbit? The good old days when textbooks told you everything you needed to know is long gone. Now the more we know we don't know. For example, when you search on the planet Eris, what you see is that it is called the most massive and second largest dwarf planet known in the solar system. The word known means that we really don't know what we're talking about. Pluto and Eris both are known dwarf planets, and Tino, the so-called trans-Neptunian objects, those are minor planets with highly elliptical orbits. And if you search Wikipedia for trans-Neptunian object, a section called Putative Trans-Neptunian Objects of Planetary Size will jump out at you. It states, the existence of trans-Neptunian rock ice bodies of planetary size, ranging from less than Earth mass up to a brown dwarf, has been often postulated. for different theoretical reasons to explain several observed or speculated features of the Kuiper Belt or the Oort cloud. It was recently proposed to use ranging data from the New Horizons spacecraft to constrain the position of such a hypothesized body. Putative means generally considered or reputed to be. Doesn't this sound like an endorsement from Wikipedia? I guess Nibiru is not all BS after all. Another reason I believe planet Nibiru is real is based on what scientists found in 2003. Sedna is a red dwarf. No, is its crazy orbit. Its aphelion, which is the closest distance from the Sun, is 76 AU, but its perihelion is 936 AU, and it takes 11,400 years to complete an orbit. During its 11,400-year journey around the Sun, we can only get a glance when it is near us. So, can you imagine how many more planets we have not seen? Can you imagine how big the others may be? Sedna's discovery proves Nibiru is not a myth. And then we found in 2014 FE72. It is another trans-Neptunian object, but this one has an orbit period of 90,000 years, with a perihelion of 36.3 AU and an aphelion of 4,000 AU. This really pushes our solar system's boundaries far beyond our imagination. Then the big question is, why would life choose to grow on a planet so far away from the Sun? Well, I guess we don't get to pick our birthplace, right? We have to adapt to our environment. Correct? Plus, life may have started on a beautiful, friendly planet till the planet changed. For that, I will share with you another story we are all quite familiar with, the Shoemaker-Levy 9. Did you know before Shoemaker-Levy 9's impact with Jupiter, it was not orbiting the Sun? That is a fact few people know. The comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 was orbiting Jupiter before it got dangerously close and crashed. 2 years before impact, Shoemaker-Levy 9 was orbiting the Sun. A wrong place at the wrong time changed the comet's path and destiny. So, an advanced civilization may have been flourishing on Nibiru before the planet changed its course. Or maybe Nibiru was pulled away by another star. Maybe it is our Sun's binary twin. Its advanced technology made it possible to cope with whatever harsh environment, and its residents refused to leave home. Scientists feel the chance of our Sun having a twin star is slim. But what gravity forces keep these minor planets circling our Sun and something else on these elliptical orbits? There must be another massive body on the other end. Remember, we can only see them when they are close to us. Can you imagine how many more are out there that we have not seen? If the Earth has survived till today, why should we worry? Even if there are 1 million Nibirus out there, they probably won't come closer than Pluto, right? That may be right, but since we know so little, we have to rely on people who know more, and that is the problem. We have found so many new planets and new stars. Who will know what the next discovery may be? This is Ken Peters. Thank you for watching.